Hey guys, welcome back to the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. So today we're going to start working on our rear hydro setup. Now, I'm going to show you right now how I got this all set up. It is time to go to the scrapyard and try to find some rear calipers that are going to work for this car. So I have a few different options. I'm going to see what's out there. I was thinking about doing a whole brake conversion from a 330 Ci. So I'm not sure it's something I really want to tackle right now. It's a little bit of work and I'm not sure if it's worth it. I mean, this car stops really well, so I don't know if it'd be that much of an improvement. And I am a little bit concerned that they might not clear the front wheels, but we'll see. So either way, we're gonna put the car in the lift, pull this off, and come up with a game plan on mounting a second caliper on this rear rotor. So here's our stock single piston caliper for our Z3. I was considering doing like a 330 or some kind of maybe 1 series rear brake swap, but that would most likely involve me building a whole new bracket system for it, because I think the rotors on these Z3s, I'd have to double check, but the distance from the rotor to the hub face on these is pretty specific to Z3s. From what I understand, I'm going to double check right now. I'm going to go to the scrapyard and double check, but I'm quite certain these are significantly different than any other setup. So for now, I'm just going to add another caliper. So right now, I'm just going to get a size on these, and it looks to be just like a 10 millimeter caliper, or brake rotor rather. So anything that can fit a 10 millimeter in it should work. So I'm going to try to find an E36 caliper, I think, with a non-vented rotor. I think that's going to be my best setup if they have one there. I know they have a couple 318s. Worst case scenario, I know there's an E30 at another scrapyard that's on my also kind of local. So I think that's the plan for now. We'll just keep it simple. And if anything cool is at the scrapyard, we'll grab it. But I think this is the best bet for now. All right, guys, we found our donor car here. Got an E36 convertible. Car actually appears to be in decent shape, so I'm hoping that means that it was kind of taken care of. All right, that looks like it'll work. Looks like the same size solid rotor, so we're just gonna pop these calipers off and get out of here. It's hot out. Well, guys, here they are. They actually appear to be in pretty good shape, and they actually have a lot of pad life left on them, so we're just gonna reuse this for now. Be a bolt-in deal. But what's nice about these is you get the carriers and everything too. I was gonna buy them brand new just because they're not super expensive, but they are like, winds up being 160 bucks for reman ones. And yeah, I mean, these will just work fine for now. And they're like $13 each. So we'll be out of here for like under 30 bucks for both calipers. Get these mounted up, get some brake lines on, and we're looking good. Well, what do we have here? Volkswagen Touareg with factory Brembos. Only problem is there's a wheel lock on it. Let's see if we can find a wheel lock in this mess. And if we can, we might get some pretty sweet brakes out of the deal. The fronts were already taken, unfortunately. But let's see if we can get those wheels off. As I tried hammering on a socket, but it just spun it. They're on too tight. But man, they're sitting here. All right, guys, good news. This Touareg's sitting here. I think it's going to be available tomorrow. So I'm going to get first thing in the morning. It's got the Brembo brakes on it. So let's see if we can snag those. All right, so this is what we're dealing with here. We have our rotor, which is very different on the E36 compared to Z3. I didn't get an exact measurement, but it's like half the size at least. So one thing I need to do is drill out this tab on the dust shield and pull it all apart, which I'll show you how I did on the other side. So we have our rotor off and we have our tab here drilled out. So now our stock rotor is just kind of floating here. We're just gonna leave that because I don't want to have to go through and bleed it and everything again. And then we have our new rotor, or I'm sorry, our new caliper, and that needs to be mounted. Now I think I'm gonna mount it here. This seems like a nice, easy place to weld. I'm probably just gonna pull the whole dust shield right off because at this point I don't think it's gonna benefit me, and I'll have to pull it off anyways to weld both sides of that. So I'll probably pull that off, at least get it loose for now. I really don't want to pull the hub out because that's a pain in the ass because it's pressed in. So let me do some figuring here and see how we're gonna deal with this. All right, so we have our dust shield off, and this real estate here is what I think I want to weld to. So we have our E36. This came off a 325 convertible. That's our factory line. I think this is gonna work. So our bleeder here is at the very top, so that would be good. So all we need to do is weld a bracket to that. We need to space this off just a little bit here so the carrier is not hitting. So space that off a few millimeters. And then we're just gonna weld it right to there. Now what I bought for that is, for $2.50, I went to the local steel place. I got some 1/2-inch flat stock. So I'm gonna make a template out of cardboard, and I'll probably just plasma cut it, grind it smooth with a hand grinder. It's gonna be a pretty trick little setup. I dig it. Okay, so this right from here to here is going to be our mounting surface. So I just took a little template here that I'm cutting. We've got that nice radius. And now we're gonna bolt on the rotor and get the holes lined up for where we're mounting the caliper. Then we just simply transfer that to the steel, cut it out, drill some holes, weld it on, party on. Well, the saga continues. I had got the wheels off, but I realized, or I didn't realize, that these needed a 16mm triple square, which, if you guys aren't familiar, it's one of these guys. So I went back to the shop. I didn't have one, so I borrowed it from Luke over at Further Performance. And now we should get our little brake calipers off here. Persistence pays off, folks. Okay, we're back at the shop. Gave these a little bath. Man, these are badass. $46. I can't wait to go get the 6-piston fronts and the other matching rear. That way I'll have a full set, front and rear, plus an additional caliper for a second caliper in the rear. Not going on this car. So just for size comparison, I mean, it's not really gonna fit on here, but this thing's a monster. Twice as big. All right, we're gonna plasma cut this 1/2 inch. My template was, what did I do with it? Now it's gonna be 1/2 inch. We're gonna see if the old prime weld, plasma cutter can cut 1/2 inch. not bad. My angle is a little off. That's gonna work out well. So what I'm gonna do now is just grind that smooth and get it just like a nice finish, and then we're gonna drill some holes and weld it on. Here we go, guys. Not the prettiest, but not bad for an angle grinder and a plasma cutter. So this is definitely gonna work. So what I gotta do now is just get the holes marked up, drill the holes. I'll make sure they fit good and we have good caliper clearance. Clean it up and weld it right onto the housing there. All right, well I have my two brackets here, and what I do is I just tack them very lightly together, and that way I can drill two identical holes for each side. It's really all you need to do. So it just saves a little time here. And on these, I'll put in my parallels so we know it's going to be nice and straight going in. All right, we got final fitment here. I have my bracket bolted to my caliper, and I still have yet to clean that up, but I just want to make sure everything fits. So the way I have it marked should be right there. And then what I've been doing is I made these little shims. So I have my little shims here, and that just gives me my space between the caliper and the carrier bracket there. So it's, now I can make sure this is centered and everything looks good on the inside. And we'll just get that tacked in place for now. I'll unbolt everything and then we'll weld it up. Now we just got to make sure this stays square, so I'll have to tack it on each side. I'm gonna have to, you know, kind of rebolt it, make sure everything's just lined up so it doesn't pull one way or another. That's gonna be the only tricky part, but we'll just tack it and weld it on both sides and kind of take it easy and see how it goes. I mean, these things only took me, I don't know, an hour to make both of them, so that's nice and easy. There's our material left over, and then we'll just, everything's ready for the next side, and we just clean up the next side and do that one. You know, it's one of those one-off deals. It's just easier to make the parts than try to source stuff, or, you know, draw them up in CAD and have them laser cut and all this stuff. I mean, by the time I sit in front of a computer, it's an hour wasted. So this is a good way to do it. Well, here it is, all welded on and looking good. So that's side one, and I gotta head out for the day, but we'll do the other side tomorrow. Everything went really well, and I think it's gonna work just fine. Well, I decided to switch things up a little bit, and I took the bracket and I just kind of cut off some of the excess on it. I know I welded this one on, but I was able to chop it off while it was on there. Just gives it a little more aesthetics. And obviously there's, you know, it's not really a big weight savings, but it just looks a little better doing that. All right guys, I'm just gonna go for a little ride with my brother Gabe. Got my little brother Gabe here, he came into town. Just gonna go for a quick blaster on the block.
Hey Bayside fans, I'm Gabe, Ben's little brother. Going for my first ride in this little ripper. Well, I'm pretty excited, so we'll see how she goes. compact. You don't have to reach far. Everything's
All right, we have the finished product. I was able to bleed the calipers. I lost my SD card info, which was really unfortunate, but what I did, I'll just explain to you. To get this bled properly, I had to disconnect the caliper, rotate it here, because the Res 4 actually wound up not being, or the bleeder was actually wound up not being at the very top. So there's air getting trapped up in here, and it was a little squishy. So I just slid this down here, bled it, and then I relocated it to there. And now I have a pretty firm handle pressure. So that's pretty much that. On the next one here, we're going to be installing my budget angle kit, which is utilizing E46 control arms and some other things. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be doing that actually right after this, and I will show you how I do that. It should be a pretty straightforward job, and yeah, I'm pretty excited to go sliding with this thing. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.